Hey, Dan, did you see Saros just dropped? It's on sale.
Dan, I just can't, because do you know what I'm doing now? I'm finally playing The Witcher 3.
Oh, nice, man. Where are you? Kaer and Skellig?
The settings menu. I've been adjusting the Steam Deck settings for 45 minutes and now I'm actually too tired to play it.
Fair enough. Anyway, I bought Saros. It's sitting right next to Elden Ring and that copy of Pong I swore I'd get round to.
Dan with a gaming flair, pixel dreams and worlds to share, joystick tales and button cues. Welcome to Gaming Views.
Hello and welcome back to Gaming Views. Joining me, as always, joined with me. We are Dan Square, but he's not. Dan is. Oh, fuck it. Right. Joining me this evening, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Dan P. Hello, Dan. I didn't have an exciting intro line that. I apologise.
I mean, it's just as well we've only done like 52 of these things, right? We're still learning the ropes.
As intros go, that was fucking shit.
We're still learning the ropes. It's fine.
Oh my God, yeah. What I should have said is something along the lines of a man who will always be on my backlog. But that just sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, and with the pre-recording conversation we've had, that didn't need to be said.
Do that.
Oh, let's move on. I'm all right, Dan. Okay. I think I'm full of hay fever, so it's a classic complaining about good weather, So
it's been warm.
Yeah,
it's been warm. This is where we started 52 weeks ago. It was warm, and we were moaning about being warm.
Yeah.
Was it that long? Yeah, nearly a year now.
Just
You're
think
welcome,
how many people, new subscribers, the backlog they're going to have of episodes. See what I did there?
I like to see what you did there. I see what you did there. Yeah. And we might get around to redoing a few of them. Maybe.
Was it remaking, remastering,
reimagining,
reduxing,
resequeling? We'll do the shit that George Lucas did to the Star Wars films, except without the dodgy AI, not AI, whatever it was, special effects.
The director's cut, the super mega extended bonus cut.
Yeah, and I promise I won't tread on Jabba's tail. That's all I'm going to say. Right, should we get on with our usual, Mr. P? What have you been playing this week?
It's a real mixed bag this week.
Oh.
Won't go on to it. Talk about it too much because we did that quite well last week, but finished Pragmata. No
Dead Space.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, you probably will have, but please check out the thumbnail for this episode. No, last episode. God, I get my timings all wrong, don't I?
It's okay. I haven't done one for this episode.
We're slick. No spoilers, but yeah, it's a great game, isn't it? I think we were talking today that the end, the story is, it's an obvious story, and it feels like they kind of really shoehorn the majority of it into the last hour. But look, it's a great game. That hacking mechanic never gets old. It changes every now and then, and like you're saying, there's almost a change in one of the boss battles right at the end. They mix it up as well. So honestly, I think it's a great game. Go play it. That's all. I think that's all I need to say.
I completely agree. Ignore anything you've seen on the internet in a negative way. It's just a really joyous experience. I loved it, and I'm really pleased you finished it finally, so we could talk about the ending and what happens. And I loved every minute of it. Yeah. But you're right, we did cover it in depth. What else you've been playing? So there's some crackers on it.
Yeah, I played the demo of Darwin's Paradox. So I did that actually weirdly on the Xbox and the Steam Deck. Just fancy try and see how it felt. Do you know what? It's a good game. I'm not sure necessarily I'll pick it up right now because even in the demo, a couple of bits I saw me doing it over and over again until I realised why I was blatantly doing it wrong. But it's
one of those.
Yeah, look, it's if you've seen the trailer or you saw it on one of those award game shows a little while ago, it's exactly what you see, right? It's fun. It's fun. It's colourful. Even in the early bits of the demo, you get the Solid Snake reference. The Metal Gear Solid in the basket. You get the bandana. It gives me a little bit of a vibe of Little Nightmares in the sense it's a 2D sort of side on, and you're navigating obstacles. Right at the start, you're avoiding a seagull. And yeah, it just looks like it's going to be fun, but I can see where some of the reviews have said that it's quite unforgiving as it goes on. But
are they the natural predator of the octopi, the seagull?
well,
I mean,
this game he's done something to annoy it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen enough Pixar movies to determine that answer. Or David Attenborough. Maybe David Attenborough. Maybe I should go with him rather than Pixar.
But you know, it's really cool. The one thing I saw, because when I was playing it on the Xbox, you literally start off in a room and you've got to get to an exit up on the wall because you can climb walls because you're an octopus, right?
Of course.
There's a pipe glowing red hot, so you have to jump over it and then go up
because they can jump.
Yeah.
Okay, just clarifying.
But the funny thing was, when I was then doing it on the Steam Deck, I thought, let me mess around here a bit. You can, if you go left, climb up the wall. You can actually climb up the wall, up across the ceiling, and through the hole you need to go through without even jumping over that.
Was it one of those really pernickety jumps that you had to get pixel perfect?
No, not that bit. No, because that is literally the first room, so I'm glad it wasn't. But it's just, it kind of shows where maybe in the full game there might be some options on how you approach an obstacle or puzzle.
Thinking outside Darwin's parabox.
Yeah, but yeah,
you're welcome.
It's fun. It likes the fun, but I might just avoid it for now. To avoid any sort of, what's the word, rage-inducing.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
So we'll move on. The next one. I started playing Mouse PI. Steam Deck.
Rubber hose.
Yeah. Do you know what? Really good, really good. The first sort of few minutes or so, like 5-10 minutes, it felt really fast. It felt like you were ice skating. And Joey, Game Club Pod, who's played it, he said, yeah, it took him a while because it felt floaty was his term. And yeah, look, like I said, it's not a problem once you get used to it. But when the game kicks in or when you get used to the game, it's just brilliant. I mean, it looks fantastic. You know, that whole aesthetic and the sound. Yeah. The shooting is quite what's the word? Quite tight. It's, I've picked up a few weapons. There's loads of collectibles. I think you get comic books, baseball cards, little figurines. The voice acting, I think generally that I've seen is great. I mean, the main character is that proper gritty noir style detective.
Troy Baker, right?
Yeah. I thought it was him, but it's like the in all the bars in all the world, that kind of thing.
Oh, the old hard-boiled detective.
Yeah, it's really got that feel. I've done a few levels, and it's really cool. The other characters you'll come across, you'll realize they're actually like 2D, but it's 3D because you can kind of see around them, if you know what I mean.
Oh, so you go around flat.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, there's a card game in there because, of course, every game's got a card game in there now.
Is it just poker?
No, this one's a little simpler. So it's based on baseball, and you're either pitching or batting, and it's just whoever's got the highest score. It's almost like a bit like Top Trumps kind of thing.
Got you.
But yeah, as I said, I'm fairly early on. Oh, and I was saying to you earlier, it's quite cool because between levels, you've got to go to another section. So you'll investigate a level, which means basically shooting all the enemies or beating them up and then finding clues. Then you'll go back to your apartment and there's a clue board, which you put them all up and try to do the links.
Right.
I don't think you have to do anything really manual. Once you put them up, it kind of links it all.
Just joins the dots for you.
Yeah. Great. But then you go to another location and it then turns into a kind of like top down 2.5D kind of isometrics view. And you just drive your car, with the left stick to the next location. Yeah. It's not like Forza.
Not original GTA type thing, or is it?
A bit more an angle, but still in that funny black and white bouncy style cartoon. You're just driving the car to the next bit. And yeah, there's cash, so you can buy weapons and stuff. So yeah, a couple of hours in, just again, fun is that word. I'm having real good fun with it.
It's amazing that thing you mentioned about, once you get used to the game, because I don't think we give ourselves enough credit as gamers to the adjustments we make when we play various different games. Like, it'll be quite easy to go in and playing from something like, oh, I've been playing, I don't know, Doom Dark Ages, and then suddenly switch over to something like Hollow Knight, and the adjustment you have to make, in terms of the control and the pace and everything that you do to just switch between those things. So you're right, there's that adjustment period. And once it clicks, you're like, this is what it is. I'm fine.
Yeah, like I said, it's not uncontrollable. It's just that it feels really fast. Once you get into it, it actually makes the levels. There's a real good pace and almost like a rhythm to it that you get into. I'm playing it on the easiest level, and so I think from what I've seen so far, it probably would be better at a slightly higher level. But yeah, look, like I said, 2 hours in, no complaints, great game.
I think they've renamed that. They're not called easy anymore. They're called reviewers level. I think that's what they're called then. That's what they
reviewers. Yeah. The next game I'm not going to speak so much about because I know you've also been playing it, but it's Vampire Crawlers on the Xbox. So we'll wait for you to do your bit. And then the last one, it was literally last night I started playing this, and I'll tell you for why shortly, but it's Power Wash Simulator 2 because, why not?
Why not? Why not have a game that's about washing stuff? Have you got a power washer?
No.
Have you ever used one on pavement?
Yeah.
There is something so unbelievably satisfying about doing that. And drawing a cock and balls, obviously. But I mean, primarily just power washing, right? It's just really satisfying to do.
Do you know what it was? So I was on the Xbox last night, and Joey, again, that's second mention. He needs to start paying us soon. Commission. He was on, so I joined him on Discord. He was playing, side story, he was playing Resident Evil 9.
You can call it Requiem.
I think
it's up to you.
I think it's okay for me to say that he's actually finding it. So it's split into two bits, the survival horror and the action. And he's saying the action's fine, but it feels like the survival horror bits are actually getting to him quite a bit and they're actually terrifying him. So
he doesn't strike me as someone who would scare easy. That's why I found it very difficult to believe when you told me.
Yeah, it was funny. All I'll say is, so we were on Discord, and then I logged off, and he goes, "I'll probably stop playing now you're gone." Literally about 2 minutes later, because when I was leaving, he said, "Oh, this bit looks interesting." I log off, and then I get a text saying, "Nope, I've switched it off now." So I can't wait to play it. But because I was in a chat with him, I'm the sort of person I can't play like a story game if I'm talking to someone or doing something else. So I thought, what can I do? And I was looking through Game Pass and I saw Power Wash Simulator 2, and I thought, why not? And like you said, it's there's that soothing, there's that cathartic, there's that addictive quality of making sure, you getting that clean, seeing it appear, making the patterns. And then like the first thing in this game is a truck. Right. And the amount it breaks down, like the side panel, the trim, the front door, the wing mirror, there's probably about 20 things. And each one then has got a percentage. So you can easily see what you've got to do. And there's just something so addictive and so satisfying about doing it. I do want to get a bigger nozzle.
Don't we all?
It's a pun there.
One of the pains in life, isn't there?
I would like a bigger, faster nozzle, but
we all need a bigger nozzle, Dan.
But yeah, it's just you're getting it. I mean, it does exactly what it says on the tin.
I don't know what drove someone to go, do you know what's fun and what would be a great game? Power washing. Like, just, I can't imagine now that conversation went down. I went, that's a great idea. Let me go and scribble that up on the back of a napkin and dev that.
The thing is that it's got a name now. So, we've got like cozy games, etc. It's been called Mundane Job Simulator. That's what the term for those sort of games are.
Okay. That makes a whole lot of sense.
That's not, I'm not disparaging power washers out there, but
it makes sense. Is that something, it's like, I'm sure there's a lawn mowing simulator as well. I'm sure there's one of those.
No doubt.
And you're like, I don't want to do my own, but I'll jump online and do it, on a game. Yeah,
there was an article in the BBC a couple of weeks ago, and that's exactly, that's what it's coined, Mundane Job Simulator. So there you go. It's an episode.
Power dishwasher loading.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of Tetris there, right? You've got a little bit of a puzzle element. So
not if you're my wife. I'm swear she stands at the foothold of the door and throws stuff at that dishwasher and load it. I'm pretty sure that's how she does it.
But
that's what, there's always two people in a marriage. One who loads of dishwashing, the other tells them it's doing it wrong. I'm the one who tells her it's doing it wrong. That's me. It's my job.
Just in case she's listening to this, Dan, shall we move on? What have you been playing?
She doesn't listen. It's fine. She doesn't listen. She thinks I'm silly. We're still married to her. So speaking of mundane jobs, I have still been playing Crimson Desert. So we'll skip along from that. It is still incredible. I think I'm, I don't know, 90 hours or something in there now, Dan. And I have to have put in a retraction about, I got confused the number of individual quests in a chapter versus the total number of chapters. I said there were 30 odd chapters. There's 12 chapters, but there are about 35 quests going through them. And I'm on chapter 9, so I'm not far from the end. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through, 90 hours in, but I've only just really left the main area and kind of moved on. So it's a bit strange how it does. It kind of pushes you out of the main area about halfway through the story. Most of it you spend in Hanand, and then you move on gradually as the story progresses, but almost, you're almost 2/3 in before it starts going, and now go and see more of this massive map.
Is it kind of like, when Netflix says, are you still watching? Is it like,
yeah,
are you sure you don't want to move on? Yeah, we really want you to see the rest of the game.
Are you sure you're still in Hanand? Yeah. Like, I was a subreddit today, and somebody said, I'm 150 hours in, I've done all this stuff and I've built my camp and I'm still in Hanand. Should I actually leave? And people were like, yeah, you can probably leave now. It's like 150 hours of game, but it's a crazy game. It got patched again. They took a bit longer. It was a great patch, but it broke some stuff. So what you're seeing, people who follow it all over the internet, was that meme from Game of Thrones of her screaming, "Where are my dragons?" Because one of the things it did is stop you being able to call your mountain. Yeah. So you couldn't call your dragon in. So you got lots of those. Yeah, good game. I haven't finished it yet, but will do. I am going to wait a little while till I go back to it, though, for technical reasons.
I did say to you, I saw someone said they got all the achievements in 189 hours. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
189.
Yeah, I don't believe. It's like trying to finish Netflix. You can't do it. I've completed Netflix. Now what's next? You can't do it. I don't believe it, because even today I was just for the post popped up on Reddit and went, oh yeah, I found a shop vendor in a blimp above this town, and I'm like, sorry, there are now blimps. Like, I knew there were hot air balloons,
but there's game?
Yeah, and then somebody wrote, yeah, but you can't access it until you've defeated the mechanical pterodactyl, and I'm like, I'm sorry, they're mechanical. I'm like, what the fuck? And my mind starts going, no, this is too much. So
it's like the devs had a box, didn't it, with suggestions in, and it's like, right, pull this out.
Yeah, a box said kids stuff on it, and just went, right, let's pick out all the coolest shit you remember and let's throw it all in there. It's mad. Yeah. Anyway, so I played a bit more, replaced, got some extra abilities, fixed my guns, started shooting people. I still really like that game. I haven't yet finished it, but I will go back and continue playing it, because I think it is one of those great handheld games you can pick and play, as is the next one I picked up, as you mentioned. I picked up and got strangely addicted to Vampire Crawlers. So Vampire Crawlers, for those of you who aren't aware, it launched on Game Pass last week, I think. Yeah. It is if Vampire Survivors and Slay the Spire had a baby. That's basically what the game is. It is. They've taken Vampire Survivors and they've turned it into a card battling game where you're roaming around an environment. Each level is very small. There are anywhere between 3 and 5 or 3 and 6 levels on a map, and you make your way through those levels to the end of it. And at the end of it, you finish. You die. Grim Reaper gets you, but you get a bunch of unlocks, a bit like you do in Vampire Survivors. So in Vampire Survivors, you kill stuff, you earn XP. That XP grants you things. You can then go back to your base. You can buy permanent upgrades. It's a roguelike. And it's just so flipping addictive. And I said to you, it was mad. Like I played it for a couple of hours a couple of nights ago, and the achievements just popping like candy. I was like literally just like playing, and it was like, bing, you've got an achievement for this, you've got an achievement, and it's just hundreds of them all over the place. And it really did hit that dopamine going, oh my God, this is amazing. I've got all these things. And then you carry on playing, and then even today, I played for a bit more, and it was like, oh, there's some more achievements, and it's just unlocking things and progressing more. I think I've unlocked 10 or 12 of the characters now. And each one has a different fighting style and it unlocks different cards to use, different weapons and things like that. I was playing as a panda earlier, Dan. Who throws cherry bombs at things, and the great thing is the higher level characters you unlock, when you go back to the lower levels, you can just rinse them. You can literally walk through without taking any damage, but still earn the money and things. So there's a reason to go back, and there's other unlocks and secrets to get. It's the team at Poncle that have created it. And just thank you, because it is brilliant. I absolutely love it. I love that game. I loved Vampire Survivors. There's the same addictiveness to it. It's, and to combine something that I love in Vampire Survivors with something that I loved in kind of Slay the Spire and a card battling game is just a bit of genius. And it's a great game. I mean, it's free on Game Pass, so go and give it a go, people. It didn't take much to get into. Yeah. It's brilliant.
And Game Pass is obviously costing you less at the moment if you're buying it now. Which come on
my knees, Dan, but yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah.
No, do you know what? When I started playing Vampire Crawlers, though, I wondered if I was remembering what game it was a sequel to, because it is totally different, isn't it, in terms of visual? So it is almost like, to some extent.
Yeah, but that was intentional, right? They wanted to take that world and create something. I think they're still working on a proper sequel to Vampire Survivors, but they wanted to create something completely different.
Yeah, but it's like in a way going from the old GTAs to GTA 3, right? Because all of a sudden you've gone from this kind of top-down view to this old style, like the old Commodore 64 Amiga style, I think I said Dungeon Explorer, Dungeon Master type game.
Yeah, it's like a 16-bit type Dungeon Master type thing,
With that card mechanic, and it's just strangely addictive. You straight into it. It's got some very funny audio clips.
It's hilarious. The voices in it are brilliant.
Yeah, and you've got the little map in the bottom corner, so you can see exactly where you're going. You've got like you need it, but you've got in the bottom left, isn't it, the directions saying you can go up, left, right. Yeah, it's just a very straightforward, throws you straight in. Yeah, fun little addictive game. And look forward to sinking a bit more time into it.
And each run is no more than 20 minutes or so. So it's, you can really kind of get into it and go through it. The thing about the voices, my favorite thing about the voices is they clearly put some effects over the top of them to make them sound almost arcadey.
Yes, yeah.
So you're going through it, you got the guy and he's like, whip it, and it sounds just like an arcade one. It's just brilliant. It's just a lovely little, for me, switch your brain off and just kind of go, right, I'll go through these and play these cards and do this damage. And I'm enjoying it a lot. There's loads of upgrades. There's so much to go into in terms of detail and depth to the game as you go through it. I'm only on level, I think I'm on the fifth map, something like that, the dairy, and I haven't completed that one yet, because you get to a certain point and you need to start rerunning runs to get powerful enough to get through the next levels. I made it to the end boss on the dairy, but I haven't finished it. But all the for those who are familiar with Vampire Survivors, all of the levels are based on levels from Vampire Survivors. So it's it's very cleverly done in terms of how they've done it.
It also reminded me a bit of Golden Axe in one bit, because now I think this is in the first game, and there's also a similar thing in Pragmata, actually, weirdly, so you can link that. But you've got that character where you can attack them and they drop supplies. I'm sure it was and that really reminded me of Golden Axe, where you get that character runs across with that sack on his back and you've got to hit him.
Yes, in Pragmata you got the drone that you have to catch and hack in time before he moves out distance. And in Golden Axe it was a little gnome guy, similar sort of thing. Yeah, and in this one you have to throw cards at him like you used to throw shurikens in Shinobi. Is that you throw the cards at him, and what's great about that is the bigger your deck, the longer you have to throw cards at him.
Okay.
So if you've built up a massive deck of cards, so I don't go to him until I've done the level, finished the boss. Right. Then I go back around the level and find him because I've got more cards. Then you get more XP. It'll make sense for people when you play it. So I played Vampire Crawlers. That was pretty much it. There's probably some more stuff I will pick up and play. I haven't done yet. I did buy Windrose, so I will. I'm going to give that a go.
Okay.
I did buy Windrose, so I'm gonna give that a go in lieu of Black Flag not coming out until a bit later. Right? Shall we do some? Let's do some comments, Dan. Let's. You did such a great job. Do you want to do this week? Do you want to do the comments around?
I don't mind doing that. I mean, this will lead heavily into...
I think you should do something. I mean,
I didn't really want to today. You said this was your episode. We probably should do a bit of housekeeping, though, because we had some lovely comments on social media, which if if you want to subscribe to us, we'd like you to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Social media, click the little follow button, click the little subscribe button. As Dan keeps saying so eloquently, very quick, small little thing for you to do, but we absolutely love it, don't we, Dan?
We do, yeah. It means a lot to us. Yeah, we're only a small content creator, and we, all the more reason for you guys to join in and have a conversation while we're tiny.
Yeah. Before we hit the big time, guys, come on.
Because when we hit the big time, let's face it, we're going to pay someone to do it. All right, let's be honest.
But no, seriously, we've seen, we've had a batch more people sub to us on YouTube, which is great, and we've had a number of comments. So this relates to the wonderful deep dive, Dan, you did on the PlayStation 2 a couple of weeks ago. And yet we had Cutty1427 said, great intro as always, well researched and very informative. He said they didn't purchase the PS2 right away. They went the Xbox way. Luckily, around just under 2 years after the PlayStation 2 release, my friend who had one decided he didn't want it anymore, traded hands for a good price and enjoyed many years on it. So I then went back and said sort of any standout games, and they said, yep, Final Fantasy X. Very impressive game graphically for them. Felt really next gen. Another game that really impressed was Metal Gear Solid 2, pure cinema. Also put a lot of time into Burnout 2. Loved that game, which exactly my reaction was I've completely forgotten what series Burnout was.
Burnout Paradise was the apex.
Yeah.
That was so good. Yeah, Crash Mode was just fantastic on that game. I loved it.
Yeah, I really love those proper arcade races, they're just full throttle races.
It's the only racing game I like is the arcade style ones. I'm not into the realism thing.
Yeah, we had FC7 Official said Jack and Daxter, anyone? Again, no, I think you've mentioned that before, haven't you, Dan? I think you've enjoyed those. And they said, and for the footy fans, it was when Konami and Pro Evolution really came to the table to finally challenge EA and FIFA. And again, I responded back saying, I'd forgot. Those were the days when we did have proper competition for football. And I remember the bat was on each year. You waited for the reviews because it did swap hands for a few years. It was Pro Evo 1 year, FIFA. And then...
Yeah, primarily FIFA came out on top most years, but there was the odd year where it was like, it just feels like a rehash. And then, Pro Evo would come along with something, out of the bag. And whether it was visuals or, it would just improve.
Yeah.
But yeah, mad times.
But
don't get that anymore.
Good memories.
No FIFA.
There. No, well, yeah. Game Club Pod. So I know that's Joey. So that's the third time.
That's
so
3 times.
Commission, please, Joey. He said vertical PS2 is the right way. Sorry, Dan P, because I think I remember saying that it stressed me when people put their consoles, the PS2 or...
Joey's 100% right.
No. Well,
how do you have your Xbox?
Well, that's why I said then PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, because it feels like the Xbox Series X was made to be vertical because it's squatter and short.
Feet on the other side, though. I mean, you could.
We also got a couple more comments.
Go on.
Do you want to pronounce this one? Is it?
I think it's Cubic Kumasuta.
Cubic Kumasuta. Yeah,
it's the guy who wrote that.
Yeah, so good quality content. Keep it up. And DJ Dijon.
I like that one.
Said this was in relation to you talking about Sony putting the PlayStation 1 chip into the PS2. So I said, how is that genius? It's actually lazy. So I went back and said, well, firstly, we said it, to take your thunder there, Dan, you said it was genius because ultimately, why spend hours sort of in development for something that isn't needed at the time, but also to ensure there's a wide library on launch. And I think I said also, I'm not saying it was a lazy idea, but can't a lazy idea also be genius? And
absolutely.
Yeah, taking a path of least resistance to get to the better product.
Occam's razor all day long. I mean, I think I said to you, it was old Bill, what's his face from Microsoft said, if you want the fastest way to do something, ask a lazy person to do it. Because and that's what they needed at the time. They needed speed to market. They were trying to get a new console out. They wanted to get ahead of the game. They wanted to do it quickly and have a big backlog of games for people to play. So they went, well, sod it. We'll stick the old chip in the new box.
It's still a genius idea.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Do I get really nerdy and say, like, from a professional work perspective, there's a practice says start from where you are, right? You don't chuck everything out and
No,
then reinvent the wheel. Start from where you are.
absolutely right.
ITIL, there you go. Right. We had a couple of comments on TikTok. So this was, again, something you're going to cover, but this is about the Game Pass news. So I got a video out on that. And Ted Jones on TikTok said, I've not played COD since, because I asked the question, does the removal of COD affect you? And he said, I've not played COD since the second one came out. So for people like me, being made to pay £6 more for the ability to play a game that we will never play is not feasible and basically is a con. There are many people who would want to play it on day one, so why don't Microsoft Xbox make an extra tier for COD or other AAA title games and charge them the £22? Why should they suffer for people like me who don't play that particular game? And it's a fair comment, and I know in the news you're going to cover there's going to be some things around that, but yeah. It's an interesting perspective, right? And probably what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, let's cover some stuff in the news because otherwise we'll get into the conversation about it now. But yeah, no, it's an absolutely valid point. Right. Speaking of which, shall we do some news?
Yes.
Let's do some news. So, stories-wise, Mouse has decided it's not playing today. Right, so after 3 years of many rumours and many back and forward on the internet, we finally have the official confirmation of the ground-up remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, or Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, as it's cunningly called. I don't know about you, mate, but I am super happy about this. I know you would have preferred to see a ground up of the Ezio trilogy, but I love Black Flag. I thought it was one of the best games of the series, and I'm really, really pleased. And it looks like they've done an absolutely cracking job on it from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I remember saying to you, I went into Black Flag not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I thought the whole pirate thing, just because a game that's so based on like that cityscape parkour thing, and then you're thrown in something totally random, I thought they won't do it justice. But I remember actually thinking that was the better part of the game. It was great.
I think it was, and they managed to make that all-round fun, even the ship combat and the undersea exploration, which has had a bit of a glow up as well. So it's essentially the same old Black Flag in terms of stories. There's a couple of additional quests and stuff, some additional crewmates that have joined your ship. They've introduced some quality of life improvements around combat, making it a bit more in line with current Assassin's Creed games. So the combat's been reworked, it's more dynamics, more action orientated than it was. And I can't remember it being too bad, but maybe, I'm misremembering because I haven't played it in a while. So you get more kind of attack styles and combos now. They've also reinvigorated some of the undersea exploration, which I totally forgotten you do. But that's in there now as well. And like I said, another couple of things taken away. So they've taken away the multiplayer that was included in there, but they've added a bunch more stuff in there as well. So I can't wait to see what that's like when it comes out in July. So it's on July the 9th. I'm going to say the 9th. I think it's the 9th of July.
I mean, it looks great. I mean, just from what I've seen, it looks stunning.
Cracking.
Am I wrong though? I'm sure at one point when they initially talked about this, were they not including the modern day stuff in it?
Correct. They've stripped that out, and they're gonna use, because I think sometimes the story demands that it goes back to the modern day in Black Flag, so they're including some other things instead. Okay. So they're not. If you remember in the original story, you went back to the offices of Abstergo, which was based on the Ubisoft offices in Paris, I think.
Okay.
So that the building and everything was based uncannily on the Ubisoft building. So they've stripped those back and they're doing something slightly different with them, I think. So
nobody was playing for the modern day sections.
Nobody was playing for the Desmond story. No, he falls in line with those other characters we said about last week, Desmond and Hugh, and
Gordon,
legendary. And Gordon, don't talk about Gordon. unless you've got a crowbar. Right. So that's Black Flag. Yeah, an interesting one or development just this past week, actually. So Sony have introduced some surprise DRM into their system with the last firmware update. So for people who aren't aware, DRM is digital rights management. So this is the thing that gamers hate, which is I have to be connected to an internet to play this thing most of the time. It does a lot of other stuff, but essentially. So on PS4 and PS5, they've introduced some DRM, and it's a bit of an odd one. So what's happening is people are noticing on their games, there is some, in the info screen, there is basically a countdown for around 30 days. And when that 30-day expiration happens, there is a chance that if your CMOS battery dies or, you have another issue, you wouldn't be able to play that game. And this was actually tested. So Destruction Games, who are on X, basically tested this, and they've said, so I've been experimenting with this, and I can confirm that if your CMOS battery dies, any digital game with the timer becomes unplayable again, even if the console is set as the primary console. PlayStation, you can set a primary and a secondary, or primary and then tertiary consoles. He purchased a digital game. He purchased Meat Boy Forever, and he purchased it with his own money. He didn't claim it with PS Plus, and then essentially ran the CMOS battery down and tried to play it. Couldn't play it. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how this has happened or why this has happened, and there's been little or no communication from Sony around it. So, yeah, just a bit odd that they've just kind of dropped this thing and not told anyone.
See,
what do you reckon, Dan?
Yeah, I saw a lot of this over the weekend. Now, there's two things that I find really weird about this. Is one, well, let's start with the main one, is that Sony haven't responded at the moment. Now, look, it's a weekend, I get it, but something as big as this, it feels like they should be responding, because the second thing I saw, and that's why I was looking today, because, do you know what, I'd forgotten that you'd had it on this list. I was looking at it, and there was a rumor, or somebody had said that at one point that this was a bug. They were fixing something else, and this is crept in, so it's not intentional. But no one's really reporting that, and Sony themselves haven't said that.
Weird bug, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was thinking...
with an actual countdown and thing on it.
In the article you've linked, somebody says something happened similar on the PlayStation 3. Oh, do you know what? Of course, I can't see it, but it's something about the backwards compat.
This is a repeat of the supposed bug from the PS3's PlayStation Classics DRM expiration issues from a few years back. Yeah. Sony is likely experimenting with it again, hoping that no one realises. Potentially.
But it's that classic thing, right? Look, most people are going to be connected to the internet in a 30-day period, right? But it's that whole thing about, why can't I play my game if I don't? You know what I mean? I've got the right to maybe be between houses or moving out and in a place where I don't,
right.
You know, and even just because, right? But yeah,
just because
the radio silence.
I bought it
just because,
sort of.
But the radio silence surprised me. And look, if this was, again, I'll say, if this was Microsoft, they'd be getting blasted from everywhere, right? And it just feels like the silence is a bit. Look, and by the time this episode goes out, no doubt it's going to be addressed. But I'm still surprised. Sort of 48 hours on, there's no official statement on that.
No, agreed. Right, I'm going to drop. I'm going to go on to I've got a collection of Microsoft stories. So just before that, I'm just going to jump in with one that I've just seen or just saw shortly before. So while we don't yet have confirmation of the Steam machine or a launch date for it, we do have a brand new Steam controller that is going to launch in the UK at £85 on Star Wars Day on May the 4th. So there was a lot of leaks over the weekend. So an actual review video went up of it, and people were a bit skeptical about whether it was, an accurate review or whether it was, something that had just been stuck up by someone. Who knows what AI can do these days other than cost you lots of RAM, Dan. But yeah, so they're now official confirmation that the Steam controller will go on sale in the UK for, I think it's £85 in the UK, $99 in the US, $149 in Canada and Australia. It goes on sale on May the 4th. There's been a lot of conversation about this. Is that too high a price? Right? And you and I were kind of going, it's quite a lot of money, isn't it? But I think DualSense retails for £20 less in the UK, £65, and a Xbox controller's $49.99. So call it £50. So you're paying a £35 premium on top for the Steam controller of an Xbox, which is, we've all said is, or you and I have certainly said, is one of the best controllers on the market. However, if you want an Xbox controller with a similar feature set, back buttons, all of that sort of stuff, you are looking at going up to an Elite, right? Which even in decent sales on Amazon and things like that is going to cost you 120, 130 quid. Right. And if you want the whole package with everything, including the charger and everything, it's going to cost you 200. So is it super expensive for a Steam controller?
See, I'm between two minds in the sense of I don't think it is for the kind of thing it's offering. So just off the top of my head, I remember it's like the magnetic sticks, isn't it? So I think to return to center, It's got the, as you said, the back buttons. It's got the two trackpads, which I've seen people play it, and it's like, look, you're not going to be competing with keyboard and mouse on Call of Duty, but you can play mouse-based games with it. It's
not mouse PI.
No, not mouse.
Incompatible as a mouse-based game.
But you've got a lot in it, and I've seen the people referring it to, what's that company? Is it 8-bit?
Doe.
Yeah, and saying they've got a similar one for £60, but it's like two things there. One, they don't have the. There you go. One, they wouldn't have the trackpads, which is ultimately the main, I think, one of the main selling points for that. But two, you're always going to get third-party companies are always going to do it cheaper, right? They'll never do it more, and it is the Steam branded one. So I don't necessarily look. I think it's a lot of money, £85.
Yeah,
but is it a lot of money compared to what is out there? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see what the judgments passed in terms of reviews and sort of in terms of the quality of the thing, because I think some of the early previews I've seen have kind of said, look, it's good, but it is just molded plastic. There's no kind of rubberized grips. There's no, so some of the things that we take for granted now, I think that were introduced certainly in the most recent updates to the Xbox controller are missing. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Look, I'll probably pick one up anyway. I mean, if it works with everything, including the frame, because I'm definitely going to get a Steam frame. I think I might end up picking one up and seeing what it's like. And as I said, I've had a few connection issues with that 8-bit Doe controller actually, so I might see how that goes with a Steam and the little puck.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Steam machine ever does come out, yeah, I'd be tempted to get one purely because of the trackpads, because the Steam Deck has obviously got them. But there's two things about it. One is I do like the offset thumbsticks of the Xbox controller. I will say that, so it'd be interesting to see that. And the D-pad is good on the Steam Deck, but I do like the D-pad on the Xbox controller, the way they built it. It's kind of like, it looks like the Elite one, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
I do.
I'd be interested in getting hands on. So obviously, Valve, if you're listening, you want to send us all.
It's terrible, Dan. You're absolutely terrible. I'll let you have a play with my one. Right, let's move on to Microsoft news. It was a bit of a big week for Microsoft in terms of news that dropped. So we'll start with the biggest piece of news, and this was Microsoft have officially dropped Call of Duty from their day one. I think they've said it will be a day and date the following holiday season, so probably a year before, normally launches around November time. It'll probably be the following year that you get the latest one added to Game Pass. Look, I know there's a lot of huge fans out there for Call of Duty. For me, as a subscriber to Game Pass, I'm not going to miss it. It wasn't something I picked up every time, and I know there are a lot of people buy it purely for multiplayer. If I was going to play it, it'd probably be single player rather than I went off the multiplayer a long time ago. So I think it's a big win. I haven't seen a lot of people commenting online about how, in a negative way about this. I think they've been very positive. So let's just talk prices. So I'm just going to talk in dollars and then I'll talk about pounds. So they've dropped the price of Game Pass Ultimate from $29.99 to $30 a month to $29.99 per month. So a $7 drop for Game Pass Ultimate. And Game Pass PC has been reduced from $16.49 to $13.99. So a slightly smaller drop for PC. Now, for the UK, Game Pass Ultimate was $22.99 and is now going to be $16.99. And the PC Game Pass was $13.49 per month, and will now be $10.99 per month. So those changes were effective immediately. That was of the 21st of April, I think. So, not long ago. So they've removed Call of Duty games. Now there'll be some number fudging in there about how much they think they lost off of Call of Duty, what they could afford to do. They'll have done some number crunching and worked out what they think is the right thing for them. Now, what Microsoft actually said about this, or sorry, Xbox actually said about this, and we'll get around to that in a minute, is our players cover a wide breadth of geographies, preferences, and tastes. So while there isn't a single model that's best for everyone, this change responds to a lot of feedback we've gotten so far, and we'll continue to listen and learn. So obviously the price went up just before Christmas, was 6 months ago now. And this is in response to that, also in response to obviously Xbox's new CEO, Asha Sharma, coming on and reviewing and doing a lot of things. Now, she's clearly in a bit of a honeymoon period now, Dan, where she's able to make some quite strategic changes as she wants to. So it'll be interesting to see where this leads in terms of the pricing. But firstly, what's your perspective on the pricing piece? And we'll talk about some of the other things that have happened as well.
I can only see it as a good move. Look, firstly, if you are a massive Call of Duty fan, if you work it out, the £6 a month, or you could buy the game and you're not technically losing out. I think you're getting a similar deal. You're just paying for it separately.
Yeah.
As like you, I mean, I've always enjoyed Call of Duty, but I'm not as into it as I once was. I'm not going to get as much value out of it. So for me, the £6 reduction is massive. I mean, we've said on here before, I was letting my Game Pass subscription lapse because I just felt $22.99 was too much. Now, I might have gone for the mid-level or possibly even a basic one, because I still wanted the online things to be able to game online. But psychologically, for me anyway, I think the £6 drop to $16.99 is huge. To go from $22.99 to $16.99 just makes a world of difference, I think. So I will be resubscribing when this runs out in a month or so. So look, I think it makes sense for the sake of one game, which you will get sometime later the next holiday year. You will not be losing all the existing Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
I think it's a win.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, they've also made some other or potentially making some other strategic moves. So there's a new collaboration between Xbox and Discord as part of this push for Game Pass. So announced again via an X post, Asha Sharma wrote, "For years, Xbox and Discord have worked together to make it easier for players to connect, chat and play across devices. We're teaming up again as we continue to make Game Pass more flexible for our players. Some of you might start to see some code in the wild, and we will share more details with you soon." Now that's obviously now come about to fruition. So they're releasing a joint venture between Discord and Xbox. You get I think it's 10 hours a month of online play and access to around 50 games. I think those games now have been advertised as well as what's available as well. So, all of this stuff is kind of building towards a different approach to Game Pass, certainly from Asha Sharma. As in her role as CEO, and I just want to talk a little bit about some of the other moves she's made while she's had the opportunity. Obviously, cancelling the whole "This is an Xbox" campaign was one big one that we know about. They also, Xbox on their official blog, Xbox Wire, released a message that was sent to Team Xbox employees globally, to everyone, and this was again on the 23rd of April. So this is about their current status of Xbox, where they are and who they are as a brand. So one of the things they've done during this is to rename themselves back from Microsoft Gaming, which you remember Phil Spencer moved us to, I don't know, a couple of years ago, now moved back to being Xbox. So the official strapline is "We are Xbox." They've also redesigned the logo. I say redesigned; it glows green now rather than being a very.
But it does look nice, so I like it.
It does look very nice, and I noticed today they've redone all of the old Xbox logos.
Okay.
In a similar way,
right.
So you can look back and see some of those. You'll be able to see if I can find some images. But essentially, what they've said in this statement is that they have a new North Star, which is daily active players. So how many people are actually using the platform, Xbox as a platform? They're going to focus on a number of things, and I just list some of those things. So one is hardware. So stabilizing Gen 9 as a healthy and high quality base. They want to deliver Project Helix to lead in performance and play your console and PC games. So still on the whole console and PC games. So I think it still very much stands as a hybrid at the moment, according to this. To lead in comfortable personal and high performance accessories, and to build a strong ecosystem that expands choice and reach. So that's their kind of approach to hardware. And then there's some stuff on content. So they want to grow and extend the portfolio of franchises. They want to evolve their third party partnerships and strengthen their upcoming 5-year slate. They want to expand into emerging markets, including China. They want to elevate creator-centric platforms like Minecraft, Elder Scrolls Online, Sea of Thieves, all weirdly owned by Microsoft. Xbox. And they want to maintain and grow live games in long-term stewardship. They want to fix the fundamentals. And this is where it starts to get a bit interesting. So there's a lot of other stuff in there about fortifying Game Pass stuff. But when they talk about fix the fundamentals, one of the things that stood out for me in this whole memo that came out from them was one of the things that Asha Sharma said in here, and I'll quote this bit. We have to be honest about where we are. We're a challenger. And meeting this moment will require pace, energy, and a level of self-critique that should feel uncomfortable. Now, that for me, right, and I know it's just words, but it's very apparent it's a very different approach to who Xbox are right now. They are very much a challenger. They sit, and I don't think there's any gamer out there that would defend this, at the bottom of a pile, right? Your Sonys, your Nintendos, they are very much behind. Right, for some of the decisions they've made, some of the money they've put in, some of the things they've done, and some of the things that haven't paid off. Now, to stand up and admit that coming in, and she can do that, right? Coming new as a CEO and kind of going, look, you know, I have to be honest about where we are. But to then project that outwardly, and you know, Xbox were always the underdog in the Sony Microsoft place. But to come in and kind of go, no, that's where we are now, right? And we've got to be gritty and we've got to knuckle down and do something proper. It gives me a little bit of hope for maybe there is a bit of a chance and a bit of a shot to Xbox to have a comeback if this pans out, right? I'm not saying she has to act on it, right? And she's making the right moves right now. But it'd be very interesting to see where we go if even a part of that is true.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've said on here, and I know I've certainly said it to you as well, that she has said all the right things. She's come into to the role, but it's the actions. Now we are starting to see the actions. Now, on what you said about them saying they're a competitor, look, a lot of people probably say
challenger. Dan.
Challenger. Sorry, challenger. That's a crazy thing to say, but I like it because to me the psychology is like, right, well, we're trying to prove ourselves. It's like, Sony are already there, and Nintendo, whoever they're saying, we're now trying to disrupt it, which kind of puts a spin on I think the psychology of how they're promoting and how they're trying to make people look at them.
Yeah, that's who you want them to be, right? That's what the industry needs. I think the industry needs someone as big as Microsoft to go, no, let's do things a bit differently. Let's try something new to see how we can be a bit more disruptive. Not the same model. I'm just going to buy up a bunch of studios and mismanage them until I shut them down. Yeah. Now, I'm not suggesting they'll do that, right? They might continue same old. I genuinely don't know. But to hear the words gives you that, like I said last week, that little bit of hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train coming at you. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how it's felt with Microsoft and Xbox for a fair while now. You know, it's just been like
complacency. I think. Yeah.
But we said it on here, right? It's like, we had a joke about what the fuck have Xbox done this week? Because it would be, some level of stupidity, and you just go, why have you done that? Now, you didn't need to.
Now look, and I saw just before we came on, I saw a TikTok account say some of the big changes she's made in the 2 months. Now, some of these might not seem big, but if we go through pretty much all the ones you've mentioned here. So the official logo has been changed to match new direction, the Game Pass reduction, Project Helix, rebranded the Microsoft gaming division back to being called Xbox, scrapped the This Is an Xbox campaign, committed to human-crafted games while strictly ruling out low-quality AI content. So I've not seen that myself personally, but there was a lot of criticism of her because of the background. So that's been interesting.
She came from leading the AI division, correct. Yeah.
Boosted direct fan interaction on X with faster response times and regular updates. So look, all of these might seem like basic things, but these are all things we should be now sort of congratulating that they're trying to change the direction of this ship. And
yeah, agreed.
you add them together, it's positive. Look, time will tell, but we've said it's the actions, and so far, look, none of these are anything to be concerned about, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as Xbox fans, I think we've become so normalized to Xbox doing stupid things that the minute someone comes in and goes, "No, this is nonsense. We're going to do it a bit different," your immediate reaction is, "Yeah, whatever. It's not going to, So yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit hopeful, because I was one of the people when I saw a pedigree and a background and the fact she's not a gamer, and you're just like, oh man, this is it, game over, right? See you later, Xbox. You're done for. But she's committed to doing it, and the fact that they confirmed, I think it was this week as well, that the next Xbox, that the Helix is going to be a first-party produced console.
Yeah, well,
and not shipped out, farmed out to Asus or someone like that.
No, well, look, and let's discuss this in 6 months' time, and if you press subscribe like we did earlier, you won't miss it.
Nice.
It's it definitely feels like they've come back and said, right, we need to make the Xbox has got to be a thing, because there's also rumors about going back to exclusives again, isn't there? Which would be
what she actually said, but when she was asked that question directly in a podcast, I think she was doing a recorded interview. She said she wanted to make the best decision, not the quickest decision, which I think is, I think it's the right approach, actually to take stock of where we are, what we've done, and therefore make a decision based on, do I want to rush headlong into going, right, we're not releasing Halo or Gears of War or whatever on the PlayStation. We're gonna retrench and we're gonna pull all our stuff in. We're not going to do it, but to have a more balanced view. So actually, does it work for us? Doesn't it work for us?
It'd be interesting.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, that's the really interesting one, because I'm sure I saw something today saying that Forza Horizon 5 has sold more copies on the PlayStation than Ghost of Yotai did. Now, look, very different games. Very different games. But money talks. We said that before, right? So that's an
and there would have been contracts signed and things like that ahead of. So I don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes. But look, like you said, let's see in a couple of months see where we are.
My final thing on it, is as someone who has been in that ecosystem for 18 years and who has said on here before that I was worried about not being part of it anymore because of the legacy of games, which again will be quite apt on your topic. I'm filled with a bit of hope again about potentially the direction that the company are going in.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So just one final bit of Microsoft news for me. So what they did, and I think this went a little bit under the radar because it was in a similar time frame. All this big news. Sorry. There was an update to the Xbox console, and actually I'm quite pleased they've done this, mainly because there were a few games I've played over the years that have been really frustrating. So they finally allowed you to disable quick resume on your Series X and S. The reason this is great, as I said, because there have been a number of games that crash quite frequently. I'll tell you which one did. Was it End of Echoes or whatever it's called? What was the game we played?
Yeah.
That would not quick resume on my Xbox and just crashed every time. So if I'd have had the option to turn off the quick resume, so it's in the settings now, that would have been a godsend. So in the latest update, you're now able to disable that. Don't get me wrong, quick resume is fucking brilliant. When it works, it's magic.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't work, it's really frustrating. So I'm just going to go back into this game and suddenly the game just crashes. And then you have to, I had to power cycle my Xbox sometimes just to get the game back to work. Because you'll go, no, something went wrong every time you try and relaunch it. So that's a bit of good news. So it's been tried and tested by the guys over at Eurogamer. It works, the functionality. So
the only one I've ever had a problem was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, weirdly. That was a problem for me. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that game. Right, that's my news for the day. Dan, do you have any news?
I've dropped one because it was just about RAM, somebody making RAM in their own back garden, which apparently you can do now. But the story I want to do, and I won't mention his name because we've already mentioned him enough, but it's about Resident Evil 9. And I think I did send this to you, but I love this story. And it's about, and the guy I mentioned who's playing this now needs to take note. 91-year-old grandfather beats Resident Evil 9 using only a notebook and no guides. Now,
didn't he use a controller?
Well, yeah, I mean, he had no pen and paper on the side.
Controller. I've seen people doing it with drums.
He used a controller. No, he used a controller. No, it'll be clear. So this is Yang Binglin, a 91-year-old Chinese streamer, completed Resident Evil 9 by using an entirely analog approach, relying solely on an old notebook and pen without ever searching the internet for help. He has, he's a veteran gamer. I mean, he's traveled to game stores across the country to collect over 500 discs. He's in the Guinness Book of Records, I think, as one of the oldest streamers on a particular platform in China.
Okay.
But his analytical mind, and this is from inventglobal.com, over decades as an engineer proved to be a major asset. He tackled the game by recording key elements in his notebook. First, he drew maps, distinguishing between explored and unexplored areas to navigate the game's loop-style structures. Second, he summarized in-game documents to solve multi-stage puzzles on his own, logically organizing safe combinations and pattern sequences. Third, he kept meticulous records of combat and resource management. He detailed spawn locations, attack patterns, and weak points of major monsters like the Lickers, and calculated the efficiency and ammunition consumption of specific weapons to develop his survival strategy. Finally, he shared his sentiment: no matter how difficult a task is, you can overcome it if you have someone by your side. So, yeah, basically, he did it all. And now some people say, well, you've got a map in the game and that, but he's mapped it all out like you did. You were doing, I think, for Blueprints, right? He's done this for Resident Evil 9. I mean, 91. There's hope for us all.
Legend.
There's hope for us all.
Yeah. Do you reckon I'll still be there in 40 years' time doing that? Oh, my God, that didn't sound so far away now.
I hope so. But I just found that incredible. So, again,
I won't be able to remember.
Yeah. It's just, again, another fun story, I think. Fun story.
It's a lovely story. Is that your bit of fluff at the end of the news?
Yeah, that's
let go.
the feel good.
Finally,
Yeah, the feel good story.
Yeah. Kittens were saved from a fire today by a puppy. Yeah, it was one of those. Right.
Oh, that would be an awesome story, wouldn't it? Yeah, there must be one.
Kittens rescued by a puppy.
Yeah, there must be stories out there. Let us know.
Yeah, not for gaming views. That's for animal views.
Moving on.
Moving on. Right. Shall we get through to the main topic today?
Yes.
Alrighty, today, people, we are going to talk about the backlog burden, that whole thing that falls on every gamer's shoulders. And don't lie, it happens to you, right? You go, oh, I get that game. And then it sits there and you don't play it. And then something new and shiny comes along. And like the magpies, we all are, we go, I'll just go and do that instead.
Shiny.
And I'll leave that thing. And then shiny, right? And then I'm looking at you, Pragmata. And then all these games that you promised you'd play and you said you'd play, and especially if you're host of a podcast, you'd never play, and then you regret it because it's on fucking video. And you don't.
Well, it's like for me, you know that meme of the guy who is walking with his hand in hand with his girlfriend and the woman behind. Yeah, that's the hand I'm holding is shiny new game. The one that's walked past is Mass Effect.
Let's go back to that. Yeah, but you can't talk about it because that is right. Anyway, we're going to talk about the backlog burden of gamers, right? And what I'm going to do, I just see if this works for you, Dan. I'm going to run us through some of the stats that are associated with the gaming backlog, right? And what it actually does. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychology. Why do we do this shit to ourselves? Why is it a thing, right? And what plays into that from a psychological perspective, and then I just want to talk about maybe there's some things, throw some stats at you, but maybe there's some things we could do to help ourselves, right? And maybe some things that we could do to kind of go, do you know what? It doesn't need to be like this. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't involve saying winning the lottery so you can just game 24 hours. Okay.
It doesn't involve winning the lottery. It doesn't involve any financial commitment from you. That's even better, right? Right. I'm sure you've looked at the notes, so I'm not going to ask you the numbers, but right. Steam users globally have spent around $19 billion on games that they have never even launched.
Astonishing.
Right?
That's astonishing.
And that's a stat tracked quite simply by going, well, they've bought this much, but they've never opened it. 19 billion. Put that in perspective for you, right? That's the GDP of a country like Chad or Niger, right? So it's a GDP of a country, Dan. It's mad.
I'll be honest, that's the only stat of yours that you prepared I saw, because when I saw that I was like, I don't want to know anymore, because that blew my mind. That's an incredible amount.
So that was based on 73 million public profiles, right? There's probably 90% of the rest are doing other stuff. But yeah, so the 73 million public profiles, that was so $19 billion. That's a lot of money on wasted games, right?
Mm.
So, and that's, you know, it's over a period of time. So, the total value of publicly visible games, unplayed games, is only 1.9 billion. That's based on 10% of total registered accounts. Yeah. The total Steam revenue, these stats are a little bit old. So this is from 2024. And if you do want to know how much Steam make annually, go and check out the episode that Joey and I did in Dan's absence on Steam in our back catalogue. But yeah, so the total Steam revenue for 2024 was $10.8 billion. And that was a 25% increase nearly from the previous year. In January to November 25, which is the last updated stat we have, it was 16.2 billion. So we're talking purely PC here because they're easily gatherable stats. Remember, on top of that, it's that 19 billion pound pot of unplayed games. There are also going to be a bunch on Xbox and PlayStation as well. And Nintendo, probably.
Yeah.
Might be slightly different because you've got subscription models and stuff to throw into it. It's easy to download a game you'll never play. And I know I've got a bunch of them on there, but you know, notoriously small hard drives, you then need to clear up your space anyway. So does it play into it? Does it not? Right. So, and I've got some stats for releases on Steam. And again, apologies. This is purely looking at kind of Steam numbers and tied to the PC. Yes, other game stores are available. Epic, maybe, and Amazon apparently, who we're not going to go there. Right. So so for the cumulative years, so for 2023, 24, 25 and 26, these are actually, I'm going to leave out 26 because I don't have the latest stats, but we'll do 25. So in 2023, the total number of games released on Steam was 14,310. In 24, it was 18,626. And in 2025, it was nearly 20,000 games. 19,995 games were released on Steam. And we're all sitting there going, why have I got a backlog? 20,000 games. That's a daily release of 54.7 games a day, Dan.
That's just mind blowing, isn't it? So what? So almost 20,000 a year. So what's that? That's just under. What is 1,500? No, just over 1,500 a month, isn't it? As well, yeah. 54. Wow.
Yeah, 54 a day.
Wow.
But the total content in that's just number of releases a year. The total content at that point in time in Steam in the library that you could browse and purchase 240,000. 240,000 games to go through. So we kind of go, you know, and you and I have done it, right? We've bought a bundle and you got, you know, you maybe one game in that you might play. And the rest, you're never going to look at.
It's a difficult one because I'm thinking here and saying, wow, this is incredible. But I know in the short time I've had a Steam account, because I had one years ago, but I've lost that. But it's only since I got the Steam Deck. When did I get that? Probably September, October time, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. So 6 months-ish. I've got quite an amount of Steam games. And yeah, I did buy a few mystery bundles, but then I've also bought like humble bundles. So ones that I know I want and I want them. But the problem is there is still only a certain amount of time you're playing. Got the Xbox. A game like Ragnarok will take me 2 or 3 weeks. And then by that point, I'm like, right, well, let me then play Spider-Man. So whether it's games like from a mystery bundle that I might not touch or ones I've curated because I do want them, the whole backlog thing still comes into play, yeah.
Totally. And so let's do this, right? Let's go a little bit into the psychology of this, right? Why do we do this to ourselves, right? So we all know that when we are shopping or when we're doing something, we basically go, oh, I'll buy that. And when you do it, you kind of get that little hit of dopamine. Oh, it feels good, right? That your reward center. You think it's not your reward. It is kind of your reward center, but it's not. Dopamine is actually the chemical of anticipation. It's the thing that happens just before you do the thing. So you're hitting that trigger every time you buy something or download something or click something. So it's this mechanism of an anticipated reward, right? So when you're looking at the Steam summer sale, right, your amygdala, the brain's, threat reward detection center that we all have, right? It creates a surge of dopamine, right? And that surge happens during the act of the browsing and the moment of purchase. So it visualizes, right? And not on the surface, but underneath, subconsciously, you're visualizing this version of that gaming experience. That 60-hour RPG where you're solving complex puzzles and doing this awesome combat. I'm looking at you, Crimson Desert, and you're doing all these things. But once that transaction happens, once that thing's in your basket and you've downloaded it, right, and it's there, that high of acquisition, that thing you were getting hit with, that's gone. Almost immediately from your bloodstream, from your system, it's gone. It's amazing the psychology behind this stuff. But the problem is, and this is where the disconnect comes, the act of actually playing that game requires what's referred to as cognitive labor, right? You got to install it. You got to learn a new complex control system. I'm looking at you, Crimson Desert. You've got to navigate the tutorials. You've got, right? And all of these things for gamers, particularly like you and me, and even, people with disposable income who are buying this stuff, we've got busy schedules, right? We've got shit to do. So then your brain's going, well, I've had the reward. I'm all right. But you want me to actually go and play this thing? You want me to do that?
Yeah.
And again, this is all subconscious, Dan. I'm not saying you're literally sitting there working through this math. Your brain is doing that for you, going, I've had the reward. I felt good for 5 seconds. I'm all right. I don't need to go and do all that shit now to go, God, that feels exhausting. So you kind of had this disconnect where I don't want to do it.
I think there's two things there though as well. So as well as the dopamine hit of making a purchase, because there is that. It's also, we've said it, I think off air as well, that like I was looking at Green Man Gaming before we come on because they've got a sale, and there was a game, I can't remember which one it is, but they're selling it for like £2.50. On Steam, it's £16, and it's also that. Well, that's a bargain. You
totally
don't think, well, it's £2.50 I'm spending that I wasn't before. You're just looking at the, well, I'm not spending £16.
Totally right. So you're absolutely right, and that's why a number of people, out there will buy, a bunch of games, never play them, but will go and watch them on YouTube or watch someone else play them, right? Because that's the thing. But there's two. So an author called Barry Schwartz. Wrote a book called The Paradox of Choice, right? And it puts consumers broadly, and let's talk about gaming consumers, into two categories: maximizers and sacrificers, right? And I'll just quote here: a maximizer is an individual who feels that they must find the absolute best option among all possibilities. In gaming, these are the players with 12 subscription services, 1,000 game wish lists, and constantly anxious of them missing out on definitive game of the year experience, i.e., me, right?
I was going to say, you do like a day one.
That's me, right? That is that a day one. All right, I'm going to go do that.
Bit of fun.
And then you've got right? And then you've got the sacrifices. Oh, sorry, the satisficers.
Odd word.
And these are individuals who look for an option that meets their core criteria and then they stop. Right, I found that thing, I don't need to do it. These are the gamers that tend to have smaller backlogs and higher satisfaction rates because they do not suffer from that anticipated regret. Oh man, I bought it, I didn't want to buy it. And they don't overbuy, right? So you've got these two. I don't know which category you fall into, but I know that I'm a maximizer, right? I'm the guy who's like, I don't want to miss out on that. I'm going to buy it. GTA 6, I don't fucking want it, but I'm going to buy it.
You see, I'll probably fall, if we talk about the two, I'll probably fall more into the second one because, I don't, I've said before, I don't necessarily need to have everything day one. I rather, like, that's why I haven't got Resi 9, right? Because I'm waiting for it to hit a certain sweet spot price-wise. So, I think I've really modified, so I don't think I'm missing out now because I know I am going to get a game. It's just it might be 6 months down the line. Yeah.
Yes, man. So let's talk a little bit about why a huge, again, it's all psychological, but why a huge catalogue of games often equals not playing or playing very little, right? And this is what I like to call the Netflix paradox because we've all had it, right? So it's the whole analysis paralysis, right? If you're given 3 options, choosing from those 3 options is invariably pretty easy, right? In fact, the magic number is 7, right? Your working memory can hold 7 items at once, so it's pretty easy to go. From 7 is probably a max number I can choose from without getting too like, oh, we're not sure. Imagine, and this is why it's the Netflix paradox, scrolling through 200 games. and going, what am I going to play? It's so overwhelming. Your brain is going, oh, I can't do it. I just don't know now. Right, that thing I sent you earlier, right? That list of games that you could add into a square to find out what sort of game you are. I sat there for ages just going, I don't know, because I can't choose. There are so many, and that's why it's so difficult. So eventually you develop this kind of decision fatigue, right? Because your willpower is only so much. You're only finite willpower, right? And you're just going, I can't be bothered anymore. I just don't want to do it.
See, I think that very much is a thing for me, but also throw into the mix with me that I think me more so than you, that I do like replaying old games. I'm happy replaying old games. So sometimes I've said to you before, we've said it, when you get into that gaming funk after you've come off playing a really good game, you're right. You'll search through these 200 games and you're thinking it's a bit overwhelming. So then I'll see a game I've played before, BioShock. But you know, I'm going to play that because I know I'm enjoying that and it's comfortable. And so I know I do that because I've played BioShock probably just under double-digit times. Mass Effect, I know I have. I can't remember other games off the top of my head like that, but there is something to being a bit of overwhelming and settling for something I feel comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's but that decision fatigue around that selection, is a real thing. Like on Netflix, because you imagine, right, as most adults, we've been out working or in working all day, and you're kind of going, right, I've done a job, I've been working. Often sitting down, then again subconsciously sitting down to then select an option, whether it's TV or game, from a list of 200. You're going, you're giving me more work. I don't want to do work. I'm done. I've had enough of work. So you kind of don't want to do it.
We just stick Brooklyn Nine-Nine back on for the 100th time.
Right. Right. So what your amygdala does, right, and this is a thing known as amygdala hijacking. That overload of you asking it, like what we would call stress, I guess, subconsciously is interpreted now as a threat. So your brain is going, I don't want to do it. So your anxiety is then triggered, and you're going, I don't want to do it. So I'm just going, no, I've done this. I've just shut it down. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to choose from Game Pass, or I'm not going to choose from Netflix. I'll go and do something else, because that's underneath your brain is going, I don't want to do it. It's too much. So, or you get the other thing, which is, the opportunity cost is like you're going, well, I choose that. Oh yeah, but if I choose that, I'm going to miss out on that. And maybe I want to be playing that. So then you're stuck in this infinite scroll where you're like, I'm just going through my Steam library or my back catalog, my Xbox catalog, or, I'm just going through going, but what if I play that and I don't play that and I do play that and I don't play that? It's mad. Yeah. Like the brain, the brain's a bastard.
It can be at times. Yeah, definitely.
I think the psychology, when you start looking into this stuff, it's quite fascinating that, you kind of, it's your brain subconsciously making decisions about why you would or wouldn't do something.
But, and I still think, and look, and like I said, I haven't looked ahead. I still think what I said a couple of weeks ago, for me, is very valid, that now it's mostly digital. It's, you don't see it, so it's not a problem. Can you imagine if you've got 500 game cases in the corner of your room?
Yeah.
Buying that 501st one, or buying the 501st one, then probably feels a lot more stressful than just buying a digital key, right? Because it's not seen. No, you don't see the problem.
So yeah. So but what happens when you do, right? So in terms of some stats around where games get to. So we talked about how many games were released. So we'll go back to Steam, right? We talked about how many games were released on Steam in 25. Right, it was 20,000. Right, of those released, only just under 3%, 2.99%, right, hit the 1,000 review real Steam threshold, the threshold that classifies it as having a proper review. 1,000 people, over 1,000 people have reviewed it. Now, it might have been more players, but 1,000 took the time to review it. So only under 3% of those actually hit that threshold. Of the people who played, let's pick a particular game, Resident Evil 3 Remake, 94.8% started it, only 69% finished it. Well, that doesn't sound too bad, right? You might not enjoy the game, you might, all sorts of reasons. But in Saints Row from 2023, 87% finished the tutorial, but only 7.4% saw it through to the credits.
Wow.
Right? So we're kind of doing this thing where we start playing a game, we're going, I can't bother. on some of it.
I guess so. What that doesn't say is how much the game they have played, because a game like Saints Row, especially, oh no, that's the 2023 one, sorry. It can get quite repetitive. So you might have done 10 hours into it. Like, I can imagine it would be fascinating to see. It's totally different, but say Crimson Desert, I wonder what that would be. And it's probably an unfair one because it is an absolutely massive RPG. But I think fatigue of the game can set in.
Oh, I have no doubt that a number of people will have switched off almost immediately and gone, no. But I'm literally playing it still because I'm curious to see how weird this shit gets next. That's literally my thing. It's just wandering into a place and go, why are there robot insects here? I don't understand, but it's crazy and I love it. So for me, it's, it's a thing. But I think it's genuinely insane. The kind of the fact that we are willing to spend money on something and not, it's like going for dinner at a restaurant, having a starter, but paying for 3 courses.
I was going to say, buying 3 courses and just walk out having had the drink or something. Yeah.
I've had the starter. I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't do that in many other, or buying an album and listening to the first track and going, oh, bother.
Take that back. Don't say that. That doesn't happen. Or buying a car, not driving it. You haven't even listened.
Yeah. But, there's plenty of examples of that. I mean, rich people do that all the time, Dan. Buying an album, listening to one track and going, no, it's not for me. But you've listened to one track.
It's odd, isn't it? Because music, I think people, and look, digressing, I know that's not your point, but I guess music, I wonder if it's because it's a lot more personal. So you like a band, you'll listen to it. Whereas games, we're far more, look, our review episode, go check it out. That's got great reviews. I don't normally like tactical RPGs, but it's got 9.5 out of 10 everywhere. Everyone's raving about it. My best mate said it's brilliant. Let me get it. No, I don't like tactical RPGs, so I'm giving it up after a couple of hours.
I don't want it anymore. It's a little bit mad. It's insane. But I think one of the things that's driving us in this direction, and we know is driving us this direction, is the subscription services, right? And there's an argument to say, are these things actually devaluing the experience of gaming, right? So you've got PlayStation Plus, Game Pass, Nintendo Online. So you've got these services where you're paying, I'm sure people are aware, but you're paying a monthly cost to have access to a variety of games, just like you will with Netflix or Spotify or anything else. Right. And the promise of those things was to solve the cost of gaming. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for every game. You can pay a subscription, take your choice, pay money, take your choice, have what game you want. But all it's done is really intensified the burden of the backlog, right? So as of last year, over 120 million people worldwide pay for at least one gaming subscription.
Okay.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how accurate the numbers I have are. There's subscriber counts on PlayStation Plus were 51.6 million. Xbox was between 35 and 37 million, and Nintendo was 34 million. And then, but the global market value of all of this was about 14.3 billion, projected to hit over 20 billion by 2031. So we have this kind of, I'm going to call it curated, but it's not really. It's kind of, here's a massive catalogue of games, go nuts, right? So your brain is then going, well, I don't have to pay full price for this thing. Don't have to pay $70 or £60 or whatever it is. I can just go and play it. So you're almost going, well, I'll download it and I might play it, but I never play it. And then the next thing you do, you end up deleting it, or worse, you play it for 5 minutes and go, oh, that's not for me. So you're creating this artificial backlog of all of these games because you subscribe to a service to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've got a bunch of games installed on my Xbox particularly that I've no intention of looking at or playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me where I've downloaded a load of games from Game Pass and I've gone to play them and I can't because it's moved off the system. So I can no longer play it. But definitely I would say with Game Pass, those games would make me play for 5 minutes, and if I don't like it, you know, I'd be a lot less tolerant of carrying on. Whereas if I bought
but
it,
what if you'd spent £60 on it?
I think I'd become more tolerant because I've spent that £60.
This is what I mean. It's that artificialness to that backlog.
But also, though, the Game Pass makes me not play my backlog because I'm like, well, I've only Game Pass's subscription. I might only have it for a few more months, so my priority is to play those games. But I'm still buying games off the Xbox sale that are piling up in the background, which I'll get to at some point, right?
Totally. And it's exactly the point, right? So, you know, research shows that when you pay full price for a game, you're significantly more likely to continue to work through, you know, tough bosses or slow chapters or things like that, because you feel like you're getting your money's worth. Whereas if you download it, well, there's no buyer's remorse because it's just on subscription, right? So I don't need to worry about it. Now, it sounds really obvious, but this is happening, and this is adding to this whole, you know, pile of, you know, what I'm saying is we're creating or have created a generation of gamers who are familiar with it. So, you know, moving from something as simple as going, well, all right, I subscribe to a service and do it, or actually, I now buy some stuff off Steam, but I've just bought a bundle. But it doesn't matter if I don't play half those games. I've only paid £20 for them.
The thing is, right, buyer's remorse, what you've said there a couple of times, is absolutely massive, I think, with gaming, because, look, gaming isn't cheap. So even £45 wasn't cheap, but now you're expected to pay £65. Now, if you you know, we say £65, gamers say £65 almost like it's nothing because that's what the RRP is now. But think about it, £65, right? That's a sizable chunk of money. Now, I might, you know, and to use the analogy, I might buy an album that I'm disappointed with, but most I've probably spent £20. And I'm like, well, I've still got a nice physical, you know, nice looking disc, some nice artwork. Whereas I've spent £60, which I don't, but £60 on a digital game that I'm not happy with. The buyer's remorse, I think, is more of a thing with gaming than anything else.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. Because you kind of stuck with it. I can't, you know, because the services that tried to resell digital games failed, as we found out last week. So we're creating this disposable gaming culture, right? On Xbox Game Pass, the average subscriber plays 18 different titles per year, and that is up from 2023 when it was 15. But playing often means spending less than 2 hours with it. So you're creating this kind of sampling behavior. I'll try it and move on. But I've got some stats on here just around completion rates on some of the bigger games, just to give you a flavour. We talked about the Resident 3 Evil remake. So, you know, this is based on first achievements. First is achievements made for when the credits roll. You know, you get an achievement pop when you've done that. And then I'll talk about drop-off rates for each of them as well. So Resident Evil 3, we said 94.8% got the first achievement, 69% finished at a drop-off rate of 25.8%. Doom 4, 82% started, 29.2% finished, and a 52.8% drop-off rate. GTA 5, so this is the first achievement was when you unlock Trevor, 44.5%, and then finished it was only 22.9%.
I'm surprised at that one. Because I think you know what you're getting into when you're buying GTA. That's the thing.
You think, right? You think. But again, it's something that's been prevalent on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. It kind of switches out, doesn't it? But that was a 21.6% drop-off rate from the start of the game through to finish. Skyrim, 70% plus thereabouts got the first achievement, and 29.3% finished it. So that's a 40.7% drop-off rate. Doom 3 was 39.3% with only 3.7% finishing it. And then Just Cause was 87.8% started it and only 7% finished it.
But you know, and I know this is the point of it, right? And I know we're looking at the drop-off, but for me, the astonishing thing is, like GTA 5, only 44% got the first achievement. So whilst there's a big drop-off, it's still less than half. Now, some people may be getting it just for the online. I get that. But even the other games like Doom, 82% is a high number. But why isn't that 100%? Because of the backlog. I get it. But that's, you know, Skyrim, 70%. Doom 3 BFG edition, only 39%. Man. That's a crazy figure there. That's the amazing one. I mean, it's astonishing that. Yeah. Sorry.
It's crazy. No, it's fine. So why do we keep buying games that we know we're never going to play?
Because we are going to play them. We are going to play them.
Yeah, we promise. So there's a thing called identity signaling, which is about why you might go and buy a game, right? So there's a term in Japan called sumage, which means buying games and letting them pile up. And it's actually it comes from an old book collecting term called Sundoku, which is the equivalent with books. I buy lots of books. This is sumage, which is basically buying loads of games. But there are a number of psychological functions to why we do this stuff. So one is about supportive purchases. So players buy indie titles or like Ukraine bundles or, Palestine bundles, whatever, to support a cause or creator, but have no intention of actually buying or playing the, however many items are included in it. Humble bundles, another one, or charity bundles, things like that. Like people buy them because they want to support something. Absolutely right thing to do. There's then the aspirational self. So this is the thing that I do, right? When you buy Elden Ring or you buy, something really complex, Souls-like or whatever, and you're kind of going, I'm definitely going to be able to play this game and better myself at playing this game and be part of the get good, right? And I've done it, right? But fuck it, I'll buy Elden Ring because I'm going to be
best Souls-liker in the world.
They said it's slightly more accessible and I'm going to be able to do it. And you get it and you play it 5 minutes, go, fuck this shit, I'm done with it, right? So there's that as well. And then there's this whole wanting to kind of preserve the digital art, this digital preservation. So where things can disappear just as rapidly as they appear, or can be updated so they're no longer the game they were or anything like that. So the idea of owning this thing and kind of going, well, I've got it. It feels like you're preserving that thing. So there's a number of reasons why people do these things. That's just a sample. But yeah, so, we do these things because sometimes we're doing them with the best intent, but it's essentially digital hoarding, right? We're just kind of going, well, I'm just going to hoard it. Now, with physical games, and you and I have spoken about this before, it's easy to have this one in, one out because I haven't got enough space to store them all. Right? You just said a minute ago, all right, what am I going to do with 500 games piling up in a corner? Right? I can't do that. So I could swap them out. You used to be able to swap them out a game and things like that. You can't do that with digital games. So there is no physicality to them. So you're like, well, I don't even think about it. So you just build up and build up and build up this catalogue of games.
But that's the funny thing, because I've also got a few board games. I've not got, I've probably got about 7 or 8. And the funny thing is they're sitting there under the TV and I'm looking at them and again, and this backs up what I was saying mentally for me, that I'm looking at them and thinking, right, I paid 20 quid for that, paid 10 for that. I've not played it yet. I have to play it sometime. And the stress I feel, because I sometimes say I need to play that week in, week out. I haven't played it. And I have had to in the past, I've completed one, well, completed, played it, got my sort of fun, taken it down to a charity shop or whatever, and then bought a new one because it is a one in, one out, because one, the space, but also it's just staring there, taunting me of what I spent. And look, you mentioned books. My wife's the same. She loves her books. We've got books all over the house, but she can only read one at a time.
Right. Oh, you can, at a time, but you can read them in parallel, right? Yeah, same as you can with games.
But it's just, it's visible. Yeah. It's visible and tangible and visible. That's the thing.
Totally. So that lack of tangibility allows that library to grow at a rate that isn't sustainable. Well, you can't have a library of, 1,800 games and go, well, I'm definitely going to play them all, because you're just not, it's not going to happen, right? So at least this virtual tower of games that you've got, that then every time you've got a game and you go into your library and go, I'm going to play something, you look through this list and you go, I'm not going to play anything because it's so overwhelming. So it's all feeding into the same thing.
You know what they need to do? And I'm sure there probably is something out there, but there's that website, How Long to Beat. Imagine if you could link that to your Steam library and it tells you how long it would take you to play the games you've got.
You can do that. I think there is a site that tells you, and I will dig it up and I'll put it in the comments.
I mean, I don't want to do it.
There's a site that tells you how long it would take to beat all of the games in your Steam library.
I don't want to do that, but yeah, I do and I don't. Okay, yeah.
In fact, I may even have listed it on here. I remember
there was one that showed you the value years ago. There's this thing like shows you the value, etc. But
I think there's Backlogged, which
yes,
you can link your Steam account and I think that tells you how long. I'll have to have a look. But that basically counts up the amount of things. So I just wanted to link a bit of a cheeky link back to, and I'll put it in the end card at the end. So I want to talk a little bit about the gaming crash of 1983. And there's a bit of a more than tenuous link in terms of what we're seeing, what we saw then, and some of the things that are happening now. Not just backlog, but certainly the backlog plays into it. So in 1983 versus current market condition, end of last year, let's call it. So in 1983, one of the market conditions you articulated very clearly to people was this overproduction of cartridges, the overproduction of games, and therefore the fact that they had to bury a load of them in Las Vegas because there was so much craft out there, right? But in 2025, end of 2025, you had 20,000 digital releases on a platform, Steam, and only 97% of those releases were invisible.
Okay.
Right. And by that, I mean only 3% got that of, these are the ones that hit a review purpose, right? So just playing with numbers, but bear with me. You had quality control issues. So incredibly rushed games, E.T., the ports that Atari did of some, Pac-Man, things like that. But in 2025, we've got 79% of releases on Steam are classified as limited games, which are the ones that people have self-published, all those sort of things, right? In the consumer market, in 83, you had a loss of trust and the market then flattened. And in 2025, you've got backlog guilt and subscription fatigue. So you've got an equivalent kind of, well, I don't want to play that thing because it's too exhausting to choose the thing I want to play. And from a market dominance perspective, in 83, you had Atari broadly across everything. And on the PC in 25, you got Steam, right, which owns 75% of the market share. Now, I'm not saying these things are going to happen in the same way because the world is a very different place, but it's just incredible to find comparisons between things that happened and things we are now. And yes, I know you can do that with anything, but it's interesting to look at some of those numbers, and kind of go, well, actually, there are similarities between some of this stuff.
Well, I think there is, and look, right, there is very much a cost of living crisis around the world. Certain events now are making sort of inflation around the world happen, and so what I was thinking when you were saying that is at some point you start having to make decisions as well, right? Now, for me, I love Steam. I think it lays everything out well. But I know when I go to my account, it tells me how many games are in my library. And I know how many of them I will have played. So even I'm now starting to think, when I'm looking at a bundle, I'm looking at a game, I'm thinking, do I need to get that now? Because that number is staring me in the face. Yeah. And I've probably played 2% of them. So on the Xbox, it's slightly less because yes, you can go into your library, you see them all, but it's not a number staring you, looking you in the eye and saying feel bad because you've not played it. Yeah. It's just a list of a row of covers, right?
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah. So just to say what you're saying, that yes, it's not the same as 83, but there's different factors at play now. Yeah.
So just before we go on some of the solutions to the potential backlog burden, let's just talk a little bit about so again, we're looking at this from Steam. So we talked about Steam could identify very clearly how many people had actually opened a game that they'd purchased, but let's talk about what that profile of that person looks like. So your average backlog person on Steam, again, these are stats gathered from Steam at the end of last year, so not including this year's numbers. So what operating system were they using? So Windows 10, 64-bit was the backlog king, so 63.46%, with Windows 11 at 30.33% in terms of people who were buying and not playing a lot of those games. Hardware, 51, and what's interesting is some of these stats will have fed into the potentials for things like the Steam machine, because they'll have looked at, gathered some of these stats and kind of gone, what do we base it on? Although it's not going to run Windows clearly. Hardware wise, 51.74% of users have 16 gig of VRAM. 16 gig of RAM. So your RAM in your machine, so which is kind of the minimum. But they're the ones that don't the other ones obviously don't run very well on 8 gigs. So that's kind of 16. So half almost just over half. Sorry, we're running 16 gigs of RAM. Graphics wise, they were 70, whopping 75% were using NVIDIA graphics cards. And 48 million Steam users now use game controllers instead of mouse and keyboard.
Okay, yeah.
So that moving that shift towards I don't want to call it couch gaming, but a more relaxed gaming where you're not having to be at a desk and things like that. So yeah, I think there's, you know, the backlog burden is, yes, clearly there's a problem in from a purchase perspective in the PC arena around things like Steam and bundles, because you'll buy things, never play them. But I think obviously the subscription services are playing a lot into that as well. So, you know, although it's much easier to disguise that in the subscription model, because you can kind of download something and again, we don't have the stats for that, but you can download something and just go, well, it's just taking up space, I'll delete it and put something else in there. You don't feel as bad about it. Maybe you don't feel bad about buying a bundle and not playing them. I know I don't, but I've got a bunch of them, but I'm never going to get through 130 games that I've got on there.
No, but you know, the funny thing is about the bundles, saying, so I said to you that I tend not to buy those mystery ones anymore now. It's the curated ones. But even that, so like I bought one at the weekend, Humble Bundle. I think it was a tactical RPG or turn-based RPG bundle. And I got it specifically because there was one, maybe 2 games I really liked the look of. And the bundle itself was cheaper than buying one of those on Steam. But the thing is, I'm getting 10 games in there when I'm really going for 2, but I'm still buying that bundle because it makes sense compared to the price. But then that means 8 games added to that backlog, right? So whilst it's different to just randomly buying something, it's a considered purchase, I'm still getting anywhere from 6 to 10 games that I might not play just because I'm still getting it at a perceived value less than if I bought one game outright.
Right. Yeah. And it's, yeah. So do you want some help, Dan? Would you like a strategy or potential solution to how you can fix that? Would that be helpful?
Let's say it's for a friend. Yeah. There's a friend.
For a friend. Okay. For a friend. So how could we as gamers solve this problem? Right. I'm not saying you need to solve a problem. If you love buying games and never playing them, you do you, right? We always say that. So one of the ways is the 3-for-1, right? So you cannot go and buy a new game until you have finished at least 3 from your existing backlog. No, not for you.
Well, no, it's a good rule, but
and your face then just fucking completely like, no way, Horn, no, I'm not doing that.
Look, it's a good rule, a sound rule, but if I see a deal come up, and I think most people are like that, right? I think.
Yeah, but that deal will still be there, right?
But will it? Depends. It depends if it's a flash sale. It depends if one of your games is Crimson Desert and you're playing it for 108.
Sounds like you might be making excuses. I'm not sure, but okay.
Let's hear.
All right, so
come on.
We're ruling out that one. Okay, how about the 1 hour goal? So, give a game you've not played 60 minutes exactly. If it doesn't click for you after 60 minutes, just get rid of it. No guilt, no stress. Done with it. Don't matter. I didn't enjoy it. I'm happy with that.
I actually do this anyway. I'm a lot more tolerant of bad games if I paid for it. You know, I don't mind it. But I have in the past played a game, and if it's just not been fun, or it feels like a slog, I'm like, but I'm just not having fun. So I'd rather delete it, maybe come back to it later, you know, if it's a mood thing. But yeah, this is one actually I think I tend to do. It's a case of gaming is fun. It's a pastime. Don't get too much time to do it. So it has to be fun and I have to enjoy it. So yeah.
The I'm getting too old for this shit rule.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So that's a maybe. How about the 12 and 12? You have to complete 1 game per month for a year.
See, I think doing this podcast has helped me kind of do that in a way. Because I was just looking, right? So, and I also think buying a Steam Deck has helped because I can probably get a bit more time on it than I would have, say, on the Xbox. But, you know, if I look at some of the games that I've played and done, so Stellar Blade, Time Flies, Hobbs Barrow, Lunark, Mind Cop, in between Escape Simulator,
Yeah.
Vampire Survivor, God of War, Ragnarok, God of War, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Hotline Miami. I think doing this podcast and wanting to make sure we're saying something different on a what we've been playing, and the ability
That helps, right?
and the ability to also just be able to, if my wife's watching a film, I can say, well, do you know what? I can actually just fire up the Steam Deck. I don't have to take control of the TV. I think the 12 and 12 challenge, I think, is probably one of the better ones to do, because I've pushed myself more to not replay some of the older games.
Yeah.
So it's
and you can also be guilt free about the leftovers, because you go, I am actively pursuing and going my way through this whole.
Yeah. This feels like it's turning into a bit of a therapy session for me now. Yeah,
you're welcome. But you've also got the final one is a what we're going to call a genre pivot. So never play two super long games of the same genre in a row. So Mass Effect 1 and 2 back to back down, or 2 and 3. Not Andromeda.
Do you know what? I was going to say I'd do that, but I disagree with that last bit. So Mass Effect, if I'm playing it...
Oh, okay, just Mass Effect, yeah.
Joking aside, though, if I play that, I have to play it, because I see that as one game.
Right.
Psychologically to myself, I play it as one game, and I'm playing it because I want to experience that story. But I think we've said here, we definitely say before, I will have one big game and then have a side game. And generally, yeah, if I've come off it, like if I've played the Mass Effect trilogy, I'll probably do a like a Time Flies, and that's what I love. Mate, it's like a palate cleanser, isn't it? And that's not to disparage those games,
totally.
But it's I don't want to commit for another 2 weeks. Let's play a sort of like an And Roger, which is a great experience, or like an emotional experience, but it's only a few hours of your time.
Yeah, and much like you said, that perfect thing is it's a palate cleanser. It's a thing to kind of wash away the thing that you've done, and then have a different. And what that will help you do is prevent burnout for a start. Like, I'm fucking bored of doing this same shit. You know, like I can tell you now, there's no way I'm stepping to another, you know, massive RPG after Crimson Desert for a while, because I will be like, one, you're just doing that comparative thing, and you're going, well, it's not like that. It doesn't do this. But secondly, I'll have spent, you know, well over 100 hours in a game focused on that stuff.
On that. So, because you have bought that to the pod for about 6 weeks now, haven't you, I think?
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, it must be 4, 5, 6 weeks, yeah.
So when you see, like, when we're putting our notes together and you see me, like, this week I've got 4 games, and then last week, and I've also done, like, say, Stellar Blade, etc.
Yeah.
Do you think, I really want to play another game, but I'm having too much fun?
Well, I think it has to grab me. I feel like something like Pragmata instantly grabbed me, right? And so I spent the entire weekend playing it. I think I managed a couple of hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours on Crimson Desert at the weekend before last, when I played Pragmata all weekend. And that game engrossed me, and that was perfect, because that did that very thing of cleansing the palate and going, no, it's all right, it's fine. I've done that, and I've played that, and I've loved that. I'll go back to what I was doing. So I think it was fine. Yes, I do, but more for the audience than for me. More for that reason of going, I don't want to just fucking turn up and say I play Crimson Desert and go on about how weird and wonderful and crazy it is. I do want to find other games to play, but I am throwing in other stuff like Slay the Spire or like Vampire Crawlers, or, you know, so I'm trying to be a bit sensible, and I guess I'm just waiting for the right thing to come along. You know, I'm like that meme.
Yeah.
That's Crimson Desert.
I just
wonder looking back, what's the next thing?
I just wonder if when you're playing it, does your mind sometimes wander and say, oh, you know, I fancy something different, but then you find the next new mechanic and that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. I'm finding the next weird shit thing to do. And so anyway, right, that's enough. I'm just very quickly go through some tools that you could use that are out there. So you've got Backlogged, and I'll list these all below so you can find them on the site. So this is Backlogged. It focuses on kind of social lists and journaling your progress. It also links to your Steam account. You can look at times and things like that. You've got Play Night, which is a unified library manager that shows you everything you own across Steam, Epic, Good Old Games, and Xbox, so you don't actually accidentally, or if you're me, intentionally on purpose, buy the same game twice. Pragmata. And then you've got, as you quite rightly pointed out earlier, Dan, HLTV, or How Long to Beat. So this is a tool for time budgeting. So if you know you've only got a specific amount of time, you can go, well, I've only got 10 hours. how long does it take to beat Resident Evil 2? 9 hours, perfect. I can go and play that in the time that I've got available. I won't start Cyberpunk, that kind of thing. So there's just a few of the tools that we can use as gamers to kind of go, well, I'll have a look and see, I think how long to beat is a perfect one, because if you do want to go in and go, right, I'm going to go and play something, I've only got this amount of time, I can absolutely focus on that thing. Until we started doing this bit, I hadn't really looked at it. I'd heard about it, but never really looked about it. And looked on there.
I do, because say I know I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. I'll look at a game, I'll look at it on there, and if it's like a 30-hour one, I won't start it then. I'll come to it later. So that's the site I've used a lot. Yeah.
I think Crimson Desert was 89 hours when I looked at it earlier on there, on how long to beat. So that's sure. That's not finish it. That's just beat the main story. Good. All right. So what do we summarize? So backlog burden is real. We all have it as gamers. Some of us feel worse about it than others, Dan. Some of us don't give a shit, Dan. So we spend on average about $127 on subscriptions that some of us don't even use, or certainly don't use to full advantage. I know I'm guilty of that on Xbox. I don't play as many Game Pass games as I used to, that's for sure. And we seem to be moving towards this kind of AI-driven personalized curation. So people are kind of asking AI to kind of go, what game should I play and what should I do? And, so to try and help whittle down from the things that you've got. I don't do it personally, but it's a thing, apparently. But yeah, I think it's, we as consumers, we seem to, not all of us, so this doesn't apply for everyone, and certainly I'm guilty of this, we value owning the thing over playing it. We kind of go, well, I've got this massive catalogue. What doesn't even matter? Have you played any of them? Well, no. Why have you got it then? Why bother? So yeah, it's I would love to turn that backlog I've got back into a legitimate, pile of fun, rather than kind of going, I've got all these games I'm not playing. But that's a me problem, not a you problem. And for the audience, not a you problem. But yeah, I'd much rather be in there having fun with the games than trying to, just crawl through them and select something to play.
Yeah.
That's it, that's all I've got. That's all I've got for you, Dan. Sorry, mate. I mean, I know it sounds a bit of a counselling session, but the backlog is real.
All I was going to say, my final thing on this subject was, so, before anyone says anything, this isn't bashing people, this isn't bashing catalogue. No. I think when you suggest this, when we looked at this, I think, one, it's a fascinating subject to look, like you said, like you've done brilliantly with some of the stats behind the psychology and stuff around it, but also, look, everyone jokes about the backlog. Everyone, and I think a lot of the time it's a bit of a, haha, yeah, it's a joke kind of thing, because we all do talk about it. And so I think it is, look, when I say affect, I'm not saying that dramatically, but I think it's something that does affect everyone about having a backlog of games. And I think it's just fascinating to bring it to life.
Yeah, but Dan, it's only a burden if you let it become an obligation. It's not,
it's an opportunity. I've got a lot of games to play.
It's an opportunity, exactly. Yeah. But my God, there's some shit in there, isn't there? Good. All right. Look, if you have stuck with us, thank you very much. Please do hit the subscribe button or the follow button or whatever other buttons are out there. As I said, it doesn't mean a lot to you. It takes a second of your time and means the world to Dan and I as small content creators. We do love you joining in on the conversations as well. So please continue to do that. We will read out all of them, to be honest. I mean, it's good or bad. We're always up for a conversation. Yeah, Dan, anything else from you this week?
No, I think you've summed it up perfectly there. Leave us comments. That's it.
Thanks, mate. All right. Now, people, sally forth and enjoy your backlogs. See you next week.